Right, let's take a look at the changes in weather. So weather describes the conditions of sunshine, temperature, clouds, rain and wind at a particular place. Okay, so weather describes the condition of sunshine, temperature, sunshine meaning is it bright, is it, you know, dull, temperature, is it hot, cold, cloud, is it cloudy, not cloudy, rain, wind at a particular place. So all of these things describe, all these things together describe the weather. Okay. um, so when I say the sky is clear, meaning it has no cloud. When you say the sky is cloudy, that means you're saying half of the sky, at least half of the sky is cloudy. Okay. So if you say it's a cloudy sky, meaning at least half of the sky is cloudy. If you say partly cloudy, meaning less than half. Okay. So if it is less than half, then you say partly cloudy. And if it is completely, you know, filled with clouds, then you say that it is an overcast sky. Okay. So overcast meaning completely filled with black clouds, dark clouds, or even just clouds. All right. All right. Now changes in tides. So so do you guys know what tides are? What are tides? Tidal waves are they are, yes, when you say they are bigger than regular waves, you are right, they are bigger than regular waves. And what they do is tide basically means that the amount of water or the amount of shore that is covered by the water. For example, if I am on the beach and I put all my things in one, you know, on the beach at one place, and I'm like, okay, the water is not going to reach up to this point, so I'm good to go, and I go to the beach. Now what happens at, like, you know, after some time I start noticing that the water is going on towards, it's going on, like the water is moving towards my stuff where I put on the beach. Okay, so eventually it will reach my stuff and it will pull all the stuff into the water, right? So that is called as a high tide. So high tide meaning the water has moved a lot of way into the beach. Okay, so that is a high tide. Low tide meaning the water has moved away from the beach. Okay, so the ocean or the sea has moved, or the end of the sea has moved away from the beach. Okay, that is a high tide and low tide. Is that clear to you guys? So these waves are brought about by the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. Okay, so, you know, just like gravity acts, for example, if I leave this pen, it will fall down. Okay, why? Because of the gravitational pull of the earth. So the gravity acts on this pen, and then, you know, the pen falls down. Similarly, the moon and the sun also have their own gravitation, their own, you know, there is gravitation between the moon and the water present on the earth. There is gravitational force between the sun and the water present on the earth. So these two things, they affect the waves in the ocean or in seas. Is that clear? Asking me what is causing the waves to move towards the beach? Yeah, so one, there is pressure difference. The other thing, it is because of the, you know, sun and the moon. It can also be because of the rotation of the earth that can happen. So for example, the winds, okay, the wind or the movement of the clouds and the movement of the wind around the earth also happens because of the rotation of the earth. So the wind can also cause the waves to move in a particular direction. So a lot of things, you know, affect that, but mostly it is the wind, it is the gravitational force of the sun and the moon, and pressure difference as well. Okay, like low pressure, high pressure regions. On one day there are two high tides and there are two low tides. Okay, so in one day there are two high tides and there are two low tides. Time between a high tide and a low tide is 6 hours. time between two high tides is 12 hours. Okay, so that means 9. Okay, so at 6 a.m., 6 in the morning, the moon is right above the Earth's surface. Okay, after 6 hours, the sun comes here. Okay, now after 6 hours, what happens? The sun comes back over here. Is that clear to you? Tides only happen 4 times in a day. Okay, so high tides, 2 high tides take place and 2 low tides take place. Tides are not the same as waves. Waves and tides are 2 different things. Okay. Yes. So after 6 hours, again the sun. So after 6 hours, it is 6 p.m. And what happens at 6 p.m.? Let's say the sun sets at 6 p.m. and the moon rises at 6 p.m. Okay, so the moon rises at 6 p.m. and again after 6 hours, what happens? The moon comes right on the top and then sun is completely gone. So now you notice that there is a 6 hour gap between each of these events taking place. So that is why the time between a high tide and a low tide is 6 hours, and time between 2 high tides is 12 hours. We get high tide warning because in some places what happens is these tides cover the entire shore and the entire shore gets flooded. So in that case, like, you know, your stuff could be on the shore, you could end up being in like deep waters unknowingly, or the current could be strong. That is why they give you a high tide warning. For example, let's look at just the sun. Okay, so for now, let me just look at the sun. At 6 a.m., what happens? Let's say this is the Earth, and the sun is over here. Okay, so at 6 a.m., the sun is rising. Let's say I am here. Okay, and my beach is over here. Okay, I'm here, the beach is here, the sun is rising. Okay, so the sun is rising, and at that time, what happens? This is at 6 o'clock in the morning. So sun is, there is some gravitational effect of the sun on this, you know, water. After 6 hours, what happens? The sun is right above me. Okay, the sun is right over here, right above me, and then this has another effect on the water. At this point, the sun is pulling the water with even more force. So maybe at this time there are low tides, for example, and then after 6 hours, again the sun comes over here, and then again the sun pulls the water towards itself, and then over here sun again. Over here at this point, sun has no effect on this water. However, when the sun is over here, the moon is over here. Okay, so now the moon has an effect on this water.